Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pastor Sally. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I am so excited that it's no longer 90 degrees out and that the leaves are starting to change. Have they
Ab-
been changing by you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I've been out walking a little bit on the trails, and which reminds me of our walk that's coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
We have a virtual crop walk that's
Okay.
going to be taking place this weekend. Um, and when we say virtual, what we're saying is basically go out and walk. The go out and walk 10 kilometers or 6.2 miles or walk a mile. But then as you're doing that, think about how you can support crop. And the way you can support crop, people who are listening to this, is to go on the crop website, which is www.crop.org. And then when you do that, you can look for the Niles Park Ridge Walk.
Okay.
Once you find that walk, then you can click on that, and then you'll see all the different churches that are there to contribute to the Niles Park Ridge Walk. St. Luke's will be one of them. Then you can click on St. Luke's, and then you can write down your name as a sponsor, and you can make a electronic gift right then and there. Or if you want to make a pledge and then pay it later, you can do so. But we did this last year.
Okay.
We're doing this again this year. There is a small group of people who will probably be walking from the Park Ridge Community Church, which is right next to the Village Hall in Uptown here. And they'll be walking down to Redeemer Lutheran Church and back, which I think is probably not more than 5 kilometers, probably less than that. But, there's a lot of folks that are still a little bit nervous about that in terms of being in crowds. So we are also saying that you can do it virtually. Kind of do your own thing and then make a contribution. It's very easy to do it on the website. If you have difficulties maneuvering that, please contact Pastor Sally or myself, and we can get on our computer and help you do that. So
happy to. And Sunday is supposed to be gorgeous weather. It's supposed to finally be dry.
That's right. And it should be right towards the end of the Bear victory over the Packers. So you can walk with a little jump in your step or not.
Or dragging your tail behind.
Well,
I'm sure it'll be an exciting weekend regardless.
Should probably be we'll be probably tail dragging, but there's always hope springs eternal, right?
Right, and that depends on who's not hurt this week.
Yes, that is for sure. That is for sure. Hey, tell me a little bit about, we're going to be making a couple of changes with communion.
I'm excited. So starting this week at worship in person, you will have the opportunity or the choice to come forward for communion and receive bread from one of the pastors. We will very much lather up with all of the hand sanitizer that we can. We will be placing bread in your hand, and then you'll be invited to walk over to the wine station, and somebody will hand you a glass. They too will be fully masked, fully vaccinated, and have washed their hands as well, or the hand sanitizer. One of the cool things about Lutheran theology is, for the power and the means of grace that comes from sacraments, our theology says you only need one. So if you only want to do bread, it counts. If you only want to do wine, it counts. If you want to keep picking up those packets because you're just not ready for that yet, it counts. We're all in the same place. All of the bread and all of the wine in the room and in the space is all consecrated. So however you feel best taking communion, you are invited to do that. But we really are wanting to get back to as normal as we can. And one of the things that I know many of us miss is being able to come to the altar, to be able to come up from church, to hear those words from a pastor or layperson of the body of Christ given and shed for you, just that personalization. So with where we are health-wise, with masks, with the size of the worships, we're ready to go back to that. So we are hoping that you are too. but please feel free to make the decision for yourself. The to-go cups, both gluten-free, grape juice, all those options will still be available. Feel free to grab one of those. And then you also will have the option to come up.
Right. And then, so once you receive your glass from the deacon that is going to be doing the glass, then there'll be a basket on either side, and you just put the empty glass
Perfect.
and then return to your seats. We have something others special going on this weekend at worship. It's St. Luke's weekend.
Yeah.
And talk a little bit about the wonderful service that you and you and Ann have put together for this.
Fantastic. I'm excited to experience St. Luke's, the Great Physician, as a part of being with this community. So this week, as a part of our service, there is a section after the sermon that's going to be a healing rite. It will include oil and anointing. There will be little tiny blue vials that'll be available full of oil. If you remember them from our Lent to go kits, it's the same size and style, that we are going to ask that each family unit pick up one of those, or each household, to be able to use to share. And then when it's time, you'll be invited to make the sign of the cross on your forehead using that oil. You can do it to yourself, or you can do it within your own household family group that you're sitting with. We're not going to be coming forward for this part. But I'm excited to be a part of it. I think there's so much going on in the world and in our lives and here at St. Luke's, that this is a great time to be doing a healing service. And it's fantastic that it hits right on St. Luke's Sunday. And with all of that kind of healing and all of that kind of change in the world, you had some news this week.
I did. If you have not yet opened up your U.S. postal mail, or you don't receive any indications from any of our mail electronically, you may not have heard yet, but I have announced my retirement and resignation from St. Luke's Lutheran Church as one of the pastors here, officially effective November the 30th of this year. And a lot of people have, wow, that's so quick, and didn't really know that was going to be happening. Well, I will say a couple of things. First of all, I'm fine. I'm physically fine. There's not an impending illness that I'm reacting to. But I will have to say that the COVID experience has kind of exhausted me in terms of trying to navigate all that, as it is exhausted everybody. And it gives an opportunity, I think, for us to examine and to explore how we move forward in pastoral ministry with you. I mean, you're going to be here as the youth and family pastor, and we'll have conversations around all of those things and your roles, and it gives the congregation an opportunity to kind of move into this next stage of the call, and so that's why it's happened that way. The other thing that I would just mention to you is that I have been a pastor following pastors who have made retirements before in other parishes, and in some of these cases, these retirements were announced months, years in advance of the actual thing taking place.
Okay.
And so the congregation spent exhausting amount of time saying farewell and goodbye. It was like farewell tours. And to be quite honest with you, after the fact, there were members of the congregation that said that thing went on way, way too long. And so I was having a conversation with Bishop Miller several years ago when he was going to retire. And one of the things that Bishop Miller indicated was that, when you make the decision to retire, from personal reasons or professional reasons, just retire. Don't extend this out. Don't say, oh, I'm going to retire, but I'm going to retire next year, or this, that, or the other. And so after prayerful consideration with Annette and myself, we have another grandchild coming on the way in February. Um, it just seemed like the right time. And there's never a right time for everybody. I get that. But I think St. Luke's is in really great hands. We've got a lot of wonderful people here, a great staff. And so I feel very good about the future of the congregation, very good about your future, Pastor Sally. And so I, I guess pull the trigger at some point and just said,
Yeah.
yeah. And the end of the liturgical year is technically a little bit, I'll be here. My last Sunday will be Advent 1. But I always tried to stay as liturgical as I could. And so I'm kind of ending before Advent really ramps up and Christmas begins. And I know that we've got some really cool plans that we're going to be rolling out around Christmas this year as well, that you'll be rolling out with the worship staff. So that's really exciting. And so that's it in a nutshell. I know that anytime you make a decision like this, any transitions can be difficult. But I'm 68 years old, and I'm kind of ready for retirement personally, and looking forward to being able to do some new things and new hobbies that I haven't been able to do for a while. So
Sure.
I think it makes a lot of sense for me personally. I pray that it makes a lot of sense for the congregation as well as we move forward.
Absolutely. Well, you will be dearly missed. You have been an integral part of this ministry, especially throughout COVID. So for the best blessing, well done, good and faithful servant. Thank you for your years of ministry and leadership and compassion. And we're excited as a congregation to be able to celebrate that with you, over the next couple of weeks. Between services on the 28th, we will be having a celebration of ministry for Pastor Johnson. So I invite you to mark your calendars. That's the Sunday after Thanksgiving, to come and be a part of St. Luke's that morning as we lift up Pastor Johnson. I'm working with the church council to put together an event, small. I know you wanted really, really small. Maybe we
Small
can at least
and
get cake
also
back
COVID
in.
friendly, COVID friendly.
COVID friendly. You can socially distance or not, we're excited for it. And we're sad to see you go, but I'm excited to hear about all the adventures and up north and, sleeping in.
Yeah, looking forward to being able to, as you know better than anyone, a pastor's life, you're always a little bit off. When everyone's getting ready for the weekend, you're ramping up for work, and when everyone is not looking forward to going back on Monday to work, we're kind of like, that's our day off kind of a thing. And so we're always a little bit out of sync. So I'm kind of looking forward to kind of syncing my life back to kind of a normal flow after 42 years of doing something radically different than that. So
one of the other,
and I know Annette's excited too to be able to pursue some new things. I've got a couple of hobby ideas that I'm looking forward to doing as well. So and hopefully play a little bit more golf.
I can't wait to hear that your swing is even better now that we got your hip ready to go and you can see the ball again.
Well, yes, I'm getting glasses in a couple of weeks. Hopefully then I will be able to see. Well, I can see. I'm not Mr. Magoo, but I can see a little bit, but still looking to have it a little sharpened up, but that'll be fun. So thank you for bringing that up. And I just pray for you, pray for the congregation as we go forward, that God's will guide and direct St. Luke's and yourself and everyone to find that place that really makes sense, because this is a great congregation. You're a great pastor, and I think it should be a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, I'm excited to explore all of those options, and I'm excited to see what St. Luke's as a congregation, where we want to go, what we want to do.
Every one of these transitions creates an opportunity to kind of take a new look.
Absolutely.
I think we were able to do some things, in the last 6 years in terms of debt, retirement, things like that, to kind of get us in a position to move forward. And then, of course, COVID hit, which changed everything for everybody. But that's, hopefully the doctors are saying that within the next months, by the springtime, things should be getting back to some sort of sense of normalcy, which will be a wonderful gift.
Yeah, I agree. Well, don't be a stranger. Keep in touch periodically. Let us know how the golf game goes.
I will
and
do
how
that.
many months it takes to not wake up early on a Sunday morning going, oh, I
There
didn't
you
finish my
go.
sermon.
And to be able to, but also, and I think everyone knows this very clearly, but there is a clear boundary issue that
Oh, for sure.
when someone retires and resigns, that they are no longer to be, actively involved in the congregation. And I get that. And we're living in Wakanda, so we're going to be looking for a congregation up there to make a commitment to.
Sure.
But our deep love and St. Luke's will always have a very special place in my heart, my wife's heart, as our last formal parish ministry before retirement. So
Absolutely.
feel very blessed to have been with you and with the congregation. So
on that note,
yes, there was one other thing that I was going to bring up, but I can't remember what it is, so it must not be that important. But just we hope that you can be with us in worship this weekend for the healing service. It's beautifully put together. I think Pastor Sally and Ann did a beautiful job of knitting that service together with lots of music and the like. So it'll be wonderful.
I'm excited.
All righty. Well,
this is great.
You take good care, and
you too.
We will see everyone as soon as possible.
Absolutely. See you Sunday.